Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Defense Technology Talks, or DefTech Live, which is your federal opportunities updates and analysis. Bob and I have been quite busy on the road, lots of activity going on, particularly with new Congress being seated here pretty soon, election cycles, new fiscal year starting, and lots of opportunities for people across the DoD and the commercial space here in North Carolina. I will tell you, the opportunities are out there if you're willing to look for them, and that's part of the reason why we do this. But the other piece of it is we have an entire catalog of backdated material and podcasts and other video discussions that you can look up and figure out, what's the best way for you to fit in the North Carolina innovation ecosystem. Because again, it's never too late to start. And if you're not sure of where you need to start, one of the first places that you can go to is the North Carolina Defense Technology Transition Office. Give us a call to figure out, what space that you fit in, what is your use case, and what organization that you could potentially support. But I'll pass it over to Bob, and we'll get this thing started.
Thanks, Rob. I was thinking about that too, you're right. Just because the holiday season, it's not time to let off the gas pedal. It's actually time to accelerate, because companies should be building their 2023 strategy. You should be going back through the archives, and I pulled together an email for a company today of past opportunities or solicitations or broad agency announcements that have been published over the past year. I believe one even from last year. And I said, wait a minute, these are valuable. These are gold nuggets, because the government is telling you from different agencies and different perspectives the different use cases that they want a particular technology. In this case, it was EV charging, which is a big thing on the bases now, and of course across the federal government as part of the sustainable movement. But pulling together this information, I was like, wait a minute, this is great. You could write your white paper off of this. Here's all your use cases. Here's the problem statements that folks can use. And you should be building out your quad charts and building out your 1-page, 3-page, 5-page white papers. Now's the time. As everyone's aware, the SBIR, STTR process and program, were reauthorized by Congress. And not every agency is funding, but we're going to talk about a couple of agencies, particularly the Army, and how they're starting to use this. And Army's been very aggressive in this process. But I'm going to run through the slides quick just to kind of refresh. It's been a little while since we've held one of these. Maybe this is your first time. But again, I'm Bob Burton. I serve as the Senior Manager of the Defense Technology Transition Office. Our job is to connect you with federal technology opportunities, develop the use cases, understand what the problems are, and then help you navigate the federal marketplace. Connect with warfighter touch points, so that your dual-use military commercial technology can be positioned when the opportunities do drop. And I believe after the new year, because if you look at the budget request from last year, there were billions of dollars across DoD. I believe 32 billion for the Army alone for RDT&E, science and technology, rapid technology acquisitions. So the money's there, folks. You got to be ready. Don't wait until the opportunity drops, because Defense Innovation Unit, they usually drop only for about 2 weeks. Army and other SBIR topics, commercial solution openings, drop maybe for 30 days. So we gather as the North Carolina innovation ecosystem as a whole state approach for national security. So as we talked about, as we research and scout for these opportunities, we're looking for opportunities for you, and also scouting for technologies that give us a leap ahead exponential gain or advantage over adversaries. Of course, we use the National Critical and Emerging Technologies list as the foundation. Remember, these are topic and focus areas of interest across the USD R&E, research and engineering. And then we're noticing the services with their modernization priorities are nesting more and more with these critical and emerging technologies lists. Why? Because this is where the money is being allocated. So we're even seeing urgent requirements come out of certain areas to include blockchain and quantum technologies, because we kind of realize that our adversaries have outpaced us in certain areas, hypersonics and other things. But nonetheless, need to be prepared with your technology, figure out where you fit in. And like Rob said at the beginning is let DefTech be a part of your journey on this as you develop those use cases. Rob, do you want to talk anything about this and kind of why it's important for companies to nest with these greater technology focus areas?
Yeah, for sure. And looking at these, there's tons of different opportunities and they're all over the place. Advanced nuclear energy technologies. That's one of the things that we're looking at because guess what? A very successful renewable energy is nuclear. And it's one of those things that we don't discuss enough as part of an alternative to kind of diversify the portfolio so we can have energy that's long lasting and it's clean. And so nuclear, advanced energy technologies or nuclear advanced energy technologies are there. Artificial intelligence basically touches all of these categories on here to include artificial intelligence. But one of the other things that's interesting is if you're not tracking these technologies, you would realize that there was a big, huge financial technologies upheaval in the last month or so when FTX declared bankruptcy, right? So you have a large blockchain organization that declared bankruptcy. And in that process, it literally changed the value of Bitcoin, particularly the FTX Bitcoin. So there's tons of things out there that you have to pay attention to. And there's a lot of different areas. And if you have difficulty, again, narrowing those areas down of where you need to place your focus, give DefTech a call. We leave our contact information all the time. You can just reach out to us and we can help you find the opportunity that's going to be most beneficial for you. Because again, all these things are not going away. Space technology is going to be there. So that means, electronic circuit boards, nano construction, all different types of advanced material solutions and other applications that go into building a modern spacecraft. And if you're not paying attention to the news, hey, there's a rocket that's circling the moon right now. So there's all kinds of things that are going on that if you are a technologist, you should be paying attention to. One, because it's interesting, but the other part of it is you may not be able to play today, but you could be part of the next evolution of that technology moving forward into 2035 and beyond.
Yeah, I saw some great technologies. The Global Soft Foundation puts on the Modern Warfare Week. And that was in November down at Fort Bragg, and just saw some great technologies, heard from some war fighters. It's just a reminder that our companies need to be at these events. The overhead cost was not much to get in, but you get to walk the floor. If you're going to get a booth, that's great. But you can also walk the floor, talk to other vendors, look for teaming partners, and then just talk to the military folks. Actually, a couple of our companies were there with their quad charts, ready to walk the floor. And I think even some TPOCs for some technical points of contact were lined up at those meetings. So, folks, if you're not going to these different events that we advocate for, you're really missing great opportunities. But let me go ahead and keep moving here. It's been a busy year. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. But 2023 is going to be a great year as well. It's going to be busy, new topic areas and focuses every month that are going to line up with our national security strategy that was produced. And then looking across the critical technology areas for USD R&E, what does the national defense strategy say? What does the budget program look like for certain technologies and the green book and all that for 2023? So I think our companies can get pretty well postured, but you got to be a part of the process. You got to show up. You got to put your helmet on, put your shoulder pads on, because it's a contact sport. And you can't be afraid to touch the ball because you might get hit. Yeah, you're going to get hit, but we're right there to help you get back up again. And it's time to get in the game. Been some great opportunities with, AUSA a couple months ago, but let's keep navigating through. These aren't going away, folks. These are the Army modernization priorities. And we already talked a little bit about how they nest with the national critical and emerging technologies. And they also nest with the budget and program request that was sent from Congress or sent before Congress from DOD. So you got to figure out where you fit. And you hear us kind of beat this drum. We're going to keep beating it because it just, quite frankly, you got to know what agency you're going to work with, what problem you're going to solve, and how your technology provides a unique advantage to warfighting tasks and purpose. So why do we do this? In order to leverage rapid contracting mechanisms. We believe in the power of our community, collaborate, win, and strengthen national security through your technology solutions here in North Carolina. You want to join us on the coffee call this Friday as well. We got two lobbyists who are going to help us understand what the budget request and the priorities are going to look like with the new Congress being seated in January, how this landscape is going to change, because it changes. I've been through a lot of presidents, and each one of them has a different priority based on the defense budget and how it's allocated, and what our national security posture looks like around the world. So it's pretty important to understand where we are, and where we're going into this next year. But I'm going to go ahead and this is our value proposition. You've seen this as an outcome-based whole state approach for national security, synchronized to position North Carolina as the front line of the future. But let's take a look here quick at just some of these technologies, and just want to show how everything we've been saying nests. And these are the Army modernization priorities, how the Army is getting after those priorities using rapid funding mechanisms such as SBIR and STTR. It's not a class on SBIRs and STIRs. However, we do have a great SOP coming out and checklist after the new year, so be on the lookout for that. But understanding where you fit into one of these technology areas, from artificial intelligence, advanced materials, autonomy and unmanned systems, CBRN or chemical and biological, cyber is always an issue. Remember, these are the topics that you can expect and anticipate SBIR opportunities to stem out of. Human performance, the Army's Vertex event is going to take place next week. If you weren't invited to attend that, you can still watch that online. If you're in the human performance space, you really should watch these events. If you're in the energy space, you should go back and watch the Army Vertex event. They record these and live stream them. So does the Capital Factory. So if you can't make those or get down to Austin, still watch them, because there's a lot of great information put out there. And really, these agencies do tip their hand on what they're looking for and where their investments are going. And at that point, you really have an opportunity to help shape the requirements, and shape some of the funding and purchase requests based on your technologies, if it solves one of these problems. So Rob, you want to highlight here maybe some of the topic areas and kind of how this nests with everything we've been talking about all the way up to the strategic level?
Yeah, just really briefly, understanding that there's so many opportunities out there that you kind of have to just be active on the interwebs to see that. Like, you could legitimately hire a full-time person in your organization just to find opportunities for you to gain knowledge on whatever topic that it is that's out there. All you have to do is go to these websites, sign up for the Association of Old Crows that do electronic warfare. You've all these military associations, all these former organizations. You've got, if you looked up AI Symposium in Google right now, I guarantee you that you could find at least 10 of them that you could attend virtually in the next 30 days. And that's just continuing education for yourself and your company, because again, you may not understand wholly. And like sometimes, it's one of the most difficult things is being able to do the walk from strategic to operational to tactical. And so sitting in on one of these symposiums that maybe have a senior leader there, and then they have an executor or an engineer on the ground that can talk to you about, some of the difficulties that they see with integrating new technologies, or some of the things that or they don't, and that's part of just getting a better understanding. And like every last one of these topics on here, I'm not going to go down every last one of them, but I guarantee you, if you searched any of these topics right now and said information symposium on any research platform that you have, whether that be Google or, whatever platform that you're using, it's going to come up, and there's going to be lots of opportunities for you to learn. And I think that's really one of the things that you should do. The other part of it is sometimes you just get tired of doing what you've been doing, and jumping on a SBIR or STTR may be one of those ways to get into some advanced innovation technology that maybe is not your normal forte. Maybe you're a material scientist and you want to get into electronics, and that's okay. And expanding your knowledge base of materials or electronics, or maybe it's like, hey, how do I make a conductive material out of something that's not normally conductive? I don't know what that's going to look like. However, if you look at these topics, there may be an area that answer some of those questions for you personally, for your own personal gain and intelligence or learning or continuing education, or you can help somebody out, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is continue to foster those technologies that are going to benefit the warfighter sooner rather than later. And sometimes it's taking a practical example and making it tactical to get soldiers to understand before it can work up to that operational and strategic level. Because sometimes you have to solve a tactical problem to get to the strategic outcome. And I'll pass it back to Bob. Thanks.
Yeah, one thing you're going to see that's not going to change in 2023 is what is that commercial application? Kind of hard pill for companies. I think that the government could be their only vendor, their only purchasing agent. No, not at all. They want you to be successful, but you've got to be successful in the commercial space first. So, and then don't forget to set up your call with DEFTECH as you're going through building out what your engagement plan is going to look like for 2023. We'll help you understand what these problem areas are and what we've seen in the past. And I'll just let you know, these problems are cyclical. So if they haven't been solved yet to the degree or satisfaction, remember, it's just seed money. It phase 1, phase 2. And as you kind of go through this into the phase 3, the transitioning phase, also called the commercialization phase for standard SIBRs, is what does that commercialization process look like? If you don't have a commercialization plan, you're not going to be very competitive when the Army or whoever else is looking at your solicitation. So again, this is the Army SIBR process. It starts with a white paper. You're going to hear us say this again and again, and we will, because we care. You've got to do a 4-block quad chart. You got to have 1, 3, 5-page white paper, minimum 15 slide PowerPoint slide deck to communicate. But to me, the most valuable piece is your 1 to 3 page white paper and then your quad chart. There's almost no opportunity you're going to see that you can't submit for without those 2 documents. So if you're going to do anything over the holidays, build out those documents and let DEFTECH be a part of your journey. And then this is a little bit more of in your success and posturing for 2023. All right, so we're going to talk just a little bit about the SIBRs. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these because you can go through and read them. Again, now you're starting to see a little bit more of those technologies integrated in a SIBR topic. This is wrapping up the annual DoD SIBR process. And this one opened on November 30th, so today, and then it closes on 3 January. So if you're in the AI space for nitramine recrystallization encoding, and if you are, that's a pretty interesting and very focused area, is take a look at this, submit for this opportunity. They've got phase 1, and then phase 2 applications, and then they get into the dual use as well. So make sure you go through here. I don't see any questions and answers for this particular topic, but to get in here and read through what they're looking for, read through the references, and understand the use case of the problem that the Army is trying to solve. Their objective in this case is to develop a suite of probe technology and machine learning algorithms which can be used throughout the energetics manufacturing process to reduce cost and increase product consistency. And of course, you can read through these, download the PDFs, and do your keyword searches. And then a couple of other topics. What I think is really interesting, the Army does with their SIBR program, is they break it out on its own page. They give you TPOCs, which I think is fantastic for your phase 1 and phase 2, so that you can reach out to these folks. Say, hey, I do this, but I don't have a TPOC. Well, right there, they're giving you the answer to the test. It gives you additional references related to each particular topics. This is the AI. This is the non-refrigerant based cooling system for cabin cooling. It's obviously a concern for vehicles in hot weather environments, non-HFC extinguishers. And it looks like basically the same application date in January, the amount up to $250,000, and the duration, the period of work, looks like up to 12 months. So if you fit into one of these topics, get busy. DEFTECH is here to support you on that. Rob, before we move on to some of the soft work events, do you want to say anything about the Army SIBR process and kind of what you're seeing?
Yeah, so the Army SIBR process, the Army has reinvigorated their SIBR process because for the longest time, Air Force was much better at it than the Army was. And so the Army is looking at ways to accelerate it. So example is the Vertex event that's happening in less than 10 days, right? So if you're not going to the Army Applications Lab looking at the Vertex events, that's another opportunity to kind of start staging yourself to get into a phase 1 or phase 2 SIBR, right? And if you have that phase 1 or phase 2 SIBR, of course, the phase 3, even though it says here on the screen, transitioning into the hands of the soldier, the other aspect of it is that commercial application. So really, if you're in the commercial space and you have a government use case, you can easily win a phase 1 or a phase 2, and that helps offset your costs. And it allows you to kind of maintain momentum of an organization as you're waiting for that phase 3 to kick in or for it become a program of record with the US government. So again, those flash to bang on those programs could be 3 to 5 years. So you can't, again, as Bob mentioned earlier, and we've said it, I don't know how many times to different people, but remember that the flash to bang on when this thing is created versus when this thing actually becomes a program of record are two different things. And those timelines don't always equate to something simple and easy. So the best thing that you can do is have a plan to pursue both if you can, if it's feasible financially for your company. If not, make sure you have at least the minimum of the discussion to be able to talk about the phase 3 integration, how you're going to get into the hands of the soldier, and then what does it look like in the commercial space? Am I going to strip this thing down, reduce the level of encryption, add some different things to the technology to allow me to sell it in the commercial space? Whatever you have to do to continue to grow this. But the SIBR process, again, starts with the white paper, and the companies that we've seen that have been aggressive in writing the white papers and developing the quad charts and building out those prototypes are the ones that are postured for success. They are literally waiting for someone to say, yes, bring your technology to our event. And there's going to be government people there. So they're going to have uniformed service members looking at their technology. But that all starts, again, with a 3-page white paper and a quad chart. So if you have those things and you have your prototype in hand, there's a lot that you can do, and DefTech can help you. And I'll pass it back to Bob.
All right. And as we start to wrap up today's session, I wanted to highlight the One North Carolina Small Business Fund. We were on a call this morning with a company that's stemming out of North Carolina State University, which is fantastic. A lot of great startups come out of the universities, but they were not aware. They had heard of the One North Carolina Small Business Program. Just keep in mind that the program months are different than the federal. The federal fiscal year starts 1 October and runs through September 30th, right? And we get our companies postured to take advantage of those end of year dollars and other things. So you need to set up a call before September. Usually around July timeframe, you should be positioned for those other dollars that are available. But nonetheless, for the state, there's two. But the state timeline is 1 July through 30 June. So that's the state budget. Well, for this year, the 2023 year, there's two funds available. One is an incentive fund to help you provide reimbursement for your qualified business to help you with a portion of your costs incurred in preparing and submitting your phase 1, as Rob just talked about, that's SIBR. So here's some dollars. So there's a incentive funds to help once you've submitted. You have to prove that you submitted, and there's 3 great opportunities to submit right now. And then there's matching funds. When you do win and you are awarded during the state's annual calendar year, again, 1 July through 30 June, and you did win, you now get matching funds. And it's usually a significant amount of money. So you're going to want to go through this page, understand this program. Again, this is for North Carolina companies. Another way we take care of our small businesses, academic partners, and grow the defense economy. I'm going to wrap up. I'm not going to go through each one of these. It'll be in the show notes, but you should be paying attention to what's happening at SoftWorks. Everything from Foundry events to SIBR topics that are wrapping up round 2 and round 3. Beg your pardon. This one closed on 29 September. Looking at the Tech Tuesday, we usually send that out and recommend our companies pitch on a Tech Tuesday. If you're in the microsensor space, if you're in a battery charging space, prototype, virtual assessment events, other things. And this one is another one about batteries, fault tolerant battery technology assessment event. A lot happening here. A lot of dollars are being put towards early discovery, because if you get the requirement right, It actually saves money in the long run. The program is more competitive when it's fighting to survive against other programs, especially when budgets are constrained or tight. But again, the soft community are early adopters, fast adopters, and you should be paying attention to these events. Attend as many as you can, but let us help you get set up for one of these Tech Tuesdays. Get set up for ESOF and VulcanSoft and other things. The annual, actually, it's a 5-year broad agency announcement for SOCOM. But I know today was fast and furious, but it always is. It doesn't slow down, folks. That's why you got to set up a call. We'll deep dive with you, and I'll turn it over to Rob to kind of close us out. But really glad to connect with you again and to help you get ready for 2023. But you got to reach out to us.
Yeah, thanks again, Bob. And look, folks, just to wrap this thing up, we're going to be doing end of year podcast. So we're going to be talking to some of our professionals in the North Carolina innovation ecosystem. We've already got AFWorks in the can. We're going to be talking to the Army Research Office here pretty soon, the North Carolina University System, and just about everybody else that's out there that's contributed into the North Carolina innovation ecosystem in some capacity, whether that be a large or small. And we're looking to talk to you. So don't be afraid to reach out to us. If you have a small business, you got a prototype that you're trying to move a little bit, we are more than willing to do a small business showcase, sit down with you, talk about your product, talk about your technology, and what government problem that you're trying to solve. We are definitely trying to continue to provide that information to you. And again, passive touch points are also good ways of getting momentum about your product, because people don't know that it exists. Then it's very, very hard for us to help you solve a problem. And so it's kind of twofold. It's having a solution and then talking about it, and then talking about it with the right people. We're not asking you to dive too deep and give proprietary information or anything like that. We just want you to give an overview of the technology and where it fits in with the government ecosystem and how we can help. So again, just keep an eye out for those end of year podcasts. We've also got the DEFTECH end of year report. And as Bob mentioned, we're going to have some templates coming out for the STTR and SBIR grant writing proposals. And those are going to be on Mobilize. So if you are not a member of the Mobilize community for DEFTECH, you should sign up and find out how, because if you do, that's where a lot of this information gets nested. We put these videos out. The videos are going to always be on the Mobilize. We do an audio version of this podcast as well, but it doesn't have as much information just because you don't get the visual. So again, we park a lot of our information on Mobilize, and Mobilize is our way of protecting some of your information. So it's not an open community. It's not LinkedIn or Facebook or something like that. It is basically it's your opt-in service as a DEFTECH member. So if you jump into that, it's more than welcome to have you there. And it's a great community. There's tons of intelligent people that are looking for partners and looking for people that want to assist in growing your business and also solving government problems. But for Bob Burton and Rob Robinson from the Defense Technology Transition Office, this has been your Federal Opportunities Update for the week ending. Geez, it's almost December, folks. Can you believe it? It's the 30th of November. There's Christmas decorations and Christmas music being played right now. So let me be the first to say Merry Christmas to you if you are listening to this. But the other part of it is we're coming to the end of the year, and we're going to close this out. But just because the bears are hibernating does not mean you should. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Defense Technology Talks, hosted by the North Carolina Defense Technology Transition Office, or DEFTECH. The full version of this presentation has been uploaded to our Mobilize platform. Mobilize is another free service that we provide to access more national security business and collaboration opportunities. You can also sign up for more information at deftech.nc.gov. Join us again soon for our next podcast coming to a platform near you.